What's up guys? JD here with Technically Rugged, and today I just wanted to do a quick little preview of my Garmin Fenix 7 Sapphire Solar. Now this watch is something that I was able to purchase at a very deep discount thanks to a big gift card I had for company points and whatever. It is not inexpensive, make no mistake. It is a very expensive watch. However, pretty awesome when used to its fullest extent, and I definitely would say I am far from that, but again, I just wanted to give a quick little preview of what I'm using it for, why I bought it, some things maybe you should know if you're interested, and then I'll do a longer term review once I've been able to sort of squeeze out of it and really put it to its test. So yeah. Now what you should know about these watches is that there are several versions. This is the 7 Sapphire Solar. There is a 7S, which is a smaller version, and a 7X, which is a larger version. The X also has a flashlight built in right at the front here, which is pretty cool. I really would have liked that, but I think this watch is right about at the limit of my wrist size without looking too garish. So the default size was fine with me. Now there is also the there's multiple trim levels too. So you have the 7 Solar. There might just be a regular Solar, and then a Sapphire Solar. And that Sapphire version for all these models is a sapphire-based screen that is a little bit dimmer because of the way that it transmits light, but it is more scratch resistant. Typically when you have something more scratch resistant versus something shatter resistant, scratch resistant is a harder glass, shatter resistant is a softer glass. So this is a little bit harder of a glass. It may shatter more easily. We'll find out. Hopefully we don't have to find out, but it is more scratch resistant. The trade-off as well is a dimmer screen. The other thing to show you that may be a little bit hard to see is there's a ring right around the edge of the glass there, and that is for solar. That's a solar panel. There is also solar under the screen itself that is less efficient because it's being blocked by the screen and everything like that, right? But it is definitely still functional. And so what's really cool is you can get a lot extra runtime on these watches just by being outside and getting that sunlight. So I'll talk a little bit about battery life, but first I want to talk about why I got this watch and what it really is hopefully going to do for me. So for those of you who watch my videos, you already know, but for those who don't, I love to do canoe trips in the Boundary Waters. I'm hoping to do, outside the Boundary Waters as well, Quetico and other Ontario parks. But I love canoe trips, and I'm outside for days on end, at least once a year, anywhere from 7 to 9 days, out in the sun, at least even cloudy sun, but I'm outside all day and I can get a ton of runtime on this watch without having to charge it constantly. So typical smartwatches, you might get 1 to 2 days of battery life, whereas with this, with a couple hours, maybe let's say 5-6 hours of GPS activity tracking, you can probably get 9 to 10 days out of it. And my battery life initially when I was using the pulse oximeter was not as great. I also had the screen on 100% brightness, which I do have just for this little preview. The screen is not that bright as it is, and so I bumped it down to 40 because I found that if I can see it in 40%, I can see it at 100, or vice versa. If 100% is not enough, if 40% is not enough, 100% isn't enough either for sunlight. So I bumped the battery down, or the brightness down. I also had the display turn off earlier, so instead of like a 12 or 16 second timeout, it's an 8-second timeout. I do still have a gesture, so when I rotate my wrist, it'll turn on. But I've gotten the settings more dialed in. So my battery life initially was great until I drained it completely, and then I fully charged it and I made a couple more tweaks. And with this aftermarket watch face, I was only getting maybe 5 days of battery life, and that was without any GPS activities at all, which was pretty bad. I thought there might be something defective with my watch, but now that I've customized it more, I've turned down a couple things, I've updated the weather, updating on this watch face. Everything is a little more in line, and I'm getting closer to around 10 days of battery life, and that's with some walking around the block, walking a couple miles here and there with GPS tracking the entire time, which is much, much closer to what I was looking for, and that's largely without any solar power as well. And one thing I will talk about just on a side is the watch face. So as I mentioned, this is an aftermarket watch face, and it's called Data Lover. And I am a data lover. And what's really cool about this one is that it's got all the things that you would want. Of course, I can't get the strap off. It keeps hooking into itself. But you have a heart rate graph on the bottom. You have a heart rate number as well. There's some step counter down there. There's your floors that you've walked up. There's battery up here. There's weather. Sunrise and sunset is at the top as well. So it's really just a very data-rich watch face. And that's what I love about it. Is that it's really got a little bit of everything that I would want to know at a glance. So I rarely ever need to dive into menus to see, you know, what's my heart rate, or, you know, what's the weather, or anything like that. And so it's really cool. It's got a lot of data right at your fingertips here. So that watch face will drain your battery life. The Garmin watch faces that come with the watch will have less impact on your battery life. But if you're polling every second for heart rate, you know, you're polling every 15 minutes for weather, that's really going to take a hit on your battery life. So just make sure that when you buy one of these, if you get one, to play with your settings, make sure that they're a little sensible around how long you really need that screen to be on and how often you really need that weather to be updated, because it will make a big difference in your battery life. Now, there are so many activities on this watch. This really is for people who love fitness. And as you may know, I am not a super fit person. I don't really enjoy exercise for the sake of exercising. I find it very hard to stay motivated if I don't have the ability to track my progress, and, you know, just weighing yourself on a scale day to day and seeing those fluctuations just is not enough. So it's really cool to have an activity tracker like this. I can have a bunch of different activities, you know, one for walking, one for hiking, one for rugged hiking, or, you know, backpacking on more rugged trails. I have a kayaking one I've set up for canoeing. There's a couple ones in here. I set up one for snowshoeing. There's a snowshoeing one that I thought would be pretty cool to test while ice fishing and walking around the lakes and stuff like that. There's a jump master mode in case you're jumping out of planes. I mean, there's probably 40 different activities on here. So many things for swimming and cycling and running and triathlons and hiking, walking. I mean, the list goes on. So what's cool for me is that, yes, I love hiking, I love backpacking and canoeing, and those are things I'll obviously use this watch for, but I'm actually kind of excited just to see it and track my sleep over time, track, you know, walking. And monitoring my heart rate a lot is actually giving me an appreciation for how my heart rate fluctuates when I'm eating, when I'm like walking around town, when I'm just like walking around the store, you know, buying groceries and stuff like that. It just, when you have the visibility to it, it really changes your perception of certain things. And so it's very interesting to see kind of when you're going to bed, if you're going to bed and your heart rate's still chilling around like 80 or 90, you're not really doing anything. You're like, wow, I'm probably not very tired right now, or, you know, I'm going to have trouble falling asleep. Whereas if I'm sitting more around my resting of 60, you know, that's where I want to be most of the time. And it is kind of nice to just see that. And track it. It makes you feel like you understand what's going on in your body better. And like I said, Garmin's tracking is pretty sweet. So they have the Connect app. They'll track, if you have a scale and you can log your weight, you can log when you drink water if you want to, but the sleep tracking makes a big difference because it has really good sleep states to show you in terms of, you know, light, deep, REM, and awake, but the descriptions are quite apt, actually. I've found that when it talks about having good energy levels or low energy levels, being more alert, having trouble concentrating, or being creative, they've all been pretty accurate for me, which is cool. And that sleep score that they generate actually goes into what they call your body battery for how much energy you may have in the day. And then based on your stress level, which is based on your respirations per minute, your heart rate, probably a couple other things, your body weight, your age, they estimate your stress levels, and your stress levels impact your body battery over the span of the day. So it kind of gives you an estimate of how much energy you may have at a given moment. And I'm really excited to actually put that to the test out in the bush, right? Out on canoe trips, out hiking, you know, hopefully get a halfway half decent night of sleep, and then see how, you know, my elevated heart rate and stuff impacts my energy levels, see how that really lines up with what I perceive as my own energy levels, and see if the watch is accurate there. So I'm really excited to kind of do all that tracking. And even though I don't really like wearing something on my wrist while I sleep, it hasn't been that big of a deal, and I've found that the information is incredibly valuable. And I believe data and knowledge is power. So having the data lover watch face, you know, participating in as much of the stuff with the watch as possible to track activity and your performance over time, different activities, and seeing your performance during those activities, your average mile lap times, and seeing your VO2 max. I won't talk about, you know, the science behind that, but seeing the changes in that is also really cool as well. So yeah, I'm really excited just to see how this performs for backcountry work. Again, for canoeing, I think I'm going to get really good battery life having that much sun being outside all day. So I'm really excited to see that. Obviously, it's got GPS tracking. It can hook up to the Garmin InReach 66i, which I did a review for. If you're interested, I'll try and link it up in one of the corners or something. It's cool to have it all in a watch, to do it all. You can even stream music from this. I won't do that, but it's got mapping. You can put courses on here. There's a feature called Climb Pro, where if you have your course on the watch and you're actually mapping at the time, it'll show you when you have an incline or a decline and how long until you reach, you know, the apex of that, whether it's the bottom of the hill or the top of the hill, how long you have, what the grade is, all that stuff, which is freaking sweet. So I'm really excited to actually build out some of the hikes that I want to do this year and next year, and track those on the watch and actually see if Climb Pro works, because I think that'd be really cool information to have. And as you know, technically rugged, right? We're staying technical, we're staying rugged, we're applying technical concepts while getting outdoors, and maybe that helps us learn more about our activities, you know, perform better, yeah, I love applying the two worlds together. So anyway, that's been it. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been useful to some degree. Like I said, I'm going to do a deeper review once we have time to actually test this, right? And see how long it lasts under the sun, see how much value I get out of the stat tracking while I'm out in the boundary waters, while I'm out hiking, you know, doing backpacking trips. So again, if you want to see how I've set all that stuff up, I may do an additional video if enough people want to see that. So let me know down in the comments if you want to see how I've set up my different data fields, my different activities. And like I said, I'll definitely do an update video along the way. I need to do that for my 66i. I've got enough information now. So anyway, thanks again for watching. Please give this video a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see you again next time. Take care.